The LG Procast, the podcast, is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views or opinions expressed by the podcast hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect the official position of LG. For the latest and most accurate information about LG products, please consult relevant product manuals and related documentation. The information provided in this podcast episode is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, we make no representation or warranties of any kind, express or implied, about the completeness, accuracy, reliability, or suitability of the information for any specific application in the following discussion. LG and those posting or otherwise providing information, content, or material are not responsible or liable for any consequences relating directly or indirectly to any action or inaction you take based on the information, content, or other material on the podcast.
Welcome back to the LG Procast. Philip Craigbaum here with my co-host, Mr. Terry Frisenda, and we've got a couple of guests here with us. Terry, why don't you go ahead and introduce
We do,
for us?
Philip. I'm glad. I've known these guys for quite a while. Bryan Feather of API, New Hampshire. Bryan, thank you for coming today. And Dave LeMieux of ACR out of North Carolina. Dave, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys being here. Day one still of the service champions. That's why we're still wearing the same clothes. But it's been an interesting show so far for us. We sat in on some stuff this morning. I know I did, and the level of you guys that are in these rooms that are making it possible for our business to grow like it's growing is impressive. When I hear the questions and I hear the comments and I see the content that you guys are learning and that's being given to you, that's pretty exciting for me as a longtime employee of this company. So again, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I guess real quick, let's start off with what a field service champion is. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? I know it's going to be similar but different for your businesses. Tell us a little bit about what you do for your company and how you support LG. So, Dave, go ahead.
So what I do with ACR and what we do with LG is I do all of our field service support, tech support, even help lay out a job for a customer. We try to prevent them from having to call tech support because tech support can get bombarded with all kinds of questions and sometimes long hold times.
Right.
So they'll call us and we'll do our best to walk them through it. And if we're not able to walk through it on the phone, we'll go on the job site and we'll actually help them troubleshoot it on the job site.
Yeah, I've met you on a job site before.
Yeah,
In your
right.
little van.
And that's funny because even being from Florida, I've been on job sites with Bryan up in New England.
Many
So,
times.
yeah,
We put it's stuff that people said couldn't be done.
couldn't be done.
It was done.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah, I think that one job with had to work after hours. It was like a school where, and I think that was the first. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the first
Heat
recovery sold in it?
multi-VS system that we put in. We did 40 units on the roof and 146 indoor units. And that was our first taste of doing heat recovery. And we've really gone beyond that. And we've done a lot of LG multi-VS new stuff. We've done a lot of three-phase stuff. I have a great team behind me. I have 5 other champions with me.
Oh wow,
Organization.
that's a commitment, Bob.
Yep. That works under me. They do a great job, and I couldn't ask for a better crew. We just go out, try to do the best we can with customers and with LG support. LG has a great technical team that helps us and supports us when we're out in the field. Gives us the tools we need to be able to fix problems when they occur, and help customers. So we make a great team. I've been doing this 7 years with them. I've been running this division, and I'm not sorry I got into it with them. They're a great company. LG's been really good to us.
You know, Philip and I talk all the time about transitioning from a ductless manufacturer with supplemental heating and cooling as a focus, right, to a whole home heating and cooling business, heating and cooling solution. And you know what? When you're a supplemental system, that's a different level of support versus, man, I'm the sole source of heating and cooling for this environment. I can't afford for it to be down. not be able to be diagnosed and repaired. And the capability that you guys bring that is so valuable to us as a manufacturer is your willingness to learn. And we call it what we want to call it, but people get upset when stuff don't work, particularly when it's primary heating and cooling, right? So a lot of times you're dealing with emotions, right? And you're dealing with frustration. And through all that, in my experience with you two gentlemen particularly, you've maintained a positive attitude, right? You put their best foot forward for our customers and for your companies. And that's what leads to long-term success, in my humble opinion. So first of all, thank you for that.
I mean, I love partners like these guys. I mean, we come out with multi-V heating or heating recovery, and I mean, you dip your toe in with 40 complete systems. That's that's a that's a leap of faith into the deep end of the pool right there.
And that's the first time I saw mechanical, well, not the first time I saw, but the first time I saw the big widespread use of mechanical fitting, which they used on that job. I don't know how many connections, Brian, were on that job.
A lot.
A lot
Right.
is fair, right?
Yep.
40 outdoor, however many indoor units. And I think we only had one leak. Not, I say we,
Yep.
but I think you only
There
had,
was a couple, but they were minor.
yeah.
And we found them right away, and it was nice.
I know the one we found was like, oh, we forgot to press that one because the squirrel bell went off,
I think they do leak when you don't press.
yeah.
No, it was a great team effort. I mean, LG sent a bunch of people up to support us. They sent a control team up, Terry and his counterpart at the time, Ken Castle, which was a great asset to us. And he got us into this, and he guided us along. And he even came with us on that presentation to sell that job. And he was in the room, and he made sure we covered everything we needed to for that customer. And he was a happy customer when we left. And that's the kind of dedication we get from LG.
This whole service champion. I mean, this is 3 full. I mean, I look at the agenda. I'm like, I see stuff scheduled for 8:30 and 9 o'clock tonight. All right, they know I go to bed at like 7:30. I'm looking at it going, how am I going to make that? I didn't get a nap yet, right?
They're
So
cramming a ton of stuff in this week.
there's so much content in this thing, and
Me and Dave were talking about it before the podcast. It was when the itinerary came out and we received a paper on what they were going to cover. We were talking on the phone. We talk all the time together and saying, like, there is just so much stuff that's in this agenda for this 3 days that we've never been this deep into it before. So it was nice and refreshing to see they were going to cover so much and give us that extra day, because usually it's like a 2-day thing, but they're giving us 3 days. They're giving us information on every aspect of everything to help us be better for our customer.
yeah, like I said, I sat through a 4-hour class this morning, and Philip and I had a conversation on an earlier podcast today. By no means am I a service technician, okay? But man, there was some content in there, and there were some questions and there's some shining. I think Dave, you were in there with us. There were some shining stars in that presentation, like asking questions that I was, wow, that's a question the guy is really deep into this technology and really is trying to learn how to be better at. So that's pretty impressive.
I can think like 7 years back when I met you, and we had an air handler, and we had PSC motors. Now we got ECM motors, X13 motors. We got everything. And the content they're giving us about setting static pressures and doing this and doing that to make sure we understand it with the LG product so we can relay it to our customers. It's just good that we're getting refreshed. We've learned a lot on our own, and LG just taught us more. Now we're learning even more right now.
Let's. I hate to be. I'm not trying to be a hog or anything.
We spent like 10 minutes, tooting their horns. So let's ask them some questions.
Let's talk about that service champion forum, because I got a personal opinion. Okay, and that personal opinion is that when a group of these type guys communicate with one another, and you call it underground, call it backdoor, I don't care what you call it, but I have a feeling from personal experiences that when a group of smart people communicate with one another, that a lot of stuff good happens, right? And I know you guys are figuring out stuff because you're on it, touching it. I don't just mean you two. I mean there's a couple of hundred of these service champions here this week. These guys are all figuring this stuff, guys and gals are all figuring this stuff out. And now they have a platform, the Service Champion platform, to communicate with one another, say, I see this, I found this was a resolution. We benefit, LG, we benefit from that information as well. And so we figure that stuff out. And like I said before, maybe we got some emotions, right? But we work through it. And then I think there's positive to come out of that forum.
We used to do it like as champions, talk amongst ourselves when we find things. Now it's nice to have that platform. Stuff's posted on that platform. He
Perfect.
posts, I post. We put a lot of stuff on there that will help other people, and it helps us. We just go in and say, "Oh, I had this problem today. Let's see if anybody else is having it," and then we get bits and little pieces out of that we can go back to technical and ask, say, "Well, we're seeing this on the forum. You guys hearing this? What do you need us to do?"
What would you say, Dave? What would you say is the number one service champion call that comes into Dave LeMieux?
Communication.
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 So
It all goes back to wires being swapped.
still today.
Still to this day,
That's incredible.
still get it.
That's incredible.
That's the number one thing. And that's
Number one.
whether it's
4 wires or 5 at the most.
right. And that's whether it's a 1-to-1 residential or VRF. That's the number one.
I used to think I was ridiculous until I did it myself and then got humbled a little bit. I was like, wait, shoot, this is actually pretty easy to swap them if you're not careful.
It is.
Definitely a learning curve this year going into. We had 3-wire communication. Now we got the voltage and we got the 18-2 communication wire. Just getting your customers to learn like the new steps and everything.
Right.
Once we teach them, we bring them in. We have classes for our pro dealers all the time, and we cover everything that we have learned and we figured out to make sure our pro dealers go out and have a good experience in installing the product.
I selfishly can tell you from a manufacturer's perspective, that's what we want all our partners to do, whether you're a service champion or not, whether you're a distribution person on the sales counter, you're an outside sales guy talking to a builder, developer, contractor. I mean, that's the stuff that if all of us are working for a common goal, which is to make LG the brand that people want to use and buy and install and sell, then that's how we all win.
And that's been huge for us because of local support. And they say, hey, we know we can call somebody local, and if need be, we can be on that job site, depending on where it is, within a couple hours or a day or so. So that is a huge deal in getting new dealers because of the local support that all the distributors have and all the service champions around the country.
And it's nice when we go out and we hear exactly what Dave's describing, and people say to us, I'm here because you guys got the best service. If I ask anybody, you guys have the best service out there. And that makes me feel good because I got that team. And I know they're doing an outstanding job, the entire team. When I hear stuff like that, it makes me feel real good.
Well, sure. If you're like most human beings, you get up and go to work for that kind of stuff, right? I mean, that's what makes each of us, if we're responsible people, right? I mean, you like to do a good job. You want to do a good job by nature, right? Yep. And then when you're recognized or rewarded for doing a good job, that's kind of why we can do this, right?
Yeah. And we just bring in so many new pro dealers. We bring pro dealers in all the time, and they come on board and they're happy with us because of the service we deliver them.
Well, there's a reason that you two are in here, right? I mean, you guys, both your companies do a wonderful job with our products. So
they both had pretty large growth numbers too, just on the sales side, and there's a reason for that.
There absolutely.
You don't grow your sales with a product unless you support it well.
Like you said, locally having that resource, locally being the person, there's no, you can't put a price tag on that.
So while you guys are here, what I'd like to do is to pick your brains a little bit and just take some of the knowledge, because we have the opportunity. We have a lot of contractors that listen to the podcast, and we hear from our tech support team, but my belief is that the field service champions experience more day-to-day, call them issues or little troubles that sometimes don't even necessarily always make it to our team. But what are some of the things that you guys have? I mean, Dave, you mentioned one with the communication wires being swapped, but what are a couple of the other, like, just common things that you experience on a regular basis that you could just kind of warn contractors, techs about that, let's take some of your experience and what are a couple of things that they can avoid easily?
Definitely think it's got to do with thermostat setup.
Okay.
Getting the contractor to install the thermostat if it's not a wall head, it's a ducted unit. The biggest thing is getting them to go in and looking at different feature codes in the thermostat and set dead bands and ESPs and this and that to get them to do it before they walk out. We used to get a lot of calls, and then we created a YouTube page of our own where my guys shot some videos. This is what you need to do with your thermostat when you leave.
How can they find that video?
It's on APIOFNH.com, and there's an educational tab there, and the YouTube link is there. We've gone through different procedures, and we posted it to try to make it easy. With the help of you guys and the apps that you guys gave us, the LG Service app, to give our customers, that's been a huge help because when they need to get in and look at something, they can go into that app. So between the team effort between LG and us, it makes it easy to teach them and get the information there, and hopefully they're going to do that job and set it up right all the time. Because if they don't, then we're going to have a callback, and a callback's not a happy.
I mean, it makes sense. If you don't set it right, it's not going to do what
Yep.
you want it to do. And there are some settings that, like it or not, you need to go in there and make sure that they're set up for your job. And then some that we just can't default. Like we can't default what your static pressure is going to be because every duct system is different.
Right. Well, we can use an ECM motor and say you can go plus or minus 10%, right? So
There are
constant torque, but
ECM motors have spatial constraints, and so not all of our units have an ECM motor. Some of them have the BLDC motor, and there's not physically the room to put an ECM motor in some of those cabinets under the current design. And so to your point, if you don't go and set that up, and the dead bands, the heating dead band is the one that I hear about the most. Is that what you're referring to?
Yep, heating dead bands. Yep, they walk out of the house without it set correctly.
What happens if they don't set it?
The customer is going to
Tell
call
us.
and say, I got it set for 70 and 78 in my house.
and still running.
So
I'm cooking.
what am I doing wrong here? But when we get the contractor in and we do our training with the contractor, this is one thing that we teach them right out of the box. We teach them about your app on the service. We teach them about the thermostat. Before we get into the training that you provide us to provide them, we have our little niches that we like to do, and we sit them down and we have our own PowerPoint. Say, when you guys get in, you do a job, you got to do this. You got to look at this before you leave. You got to look at these settings before you leave. And if you don't, you're probably going to be back and the customer is not going to be happy. We've noticed the phone calls about this subject drop tremendously since my guy, Jason LeBlanc, great trainer I have, also one of my techs, he just drills it in their head and he gets them to understand it. So now we see a little easement of phone calls for little things like that Dave sees also.
That frees his time up to do something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, to piggyback what he was saying, yeah, we focus in a lot on the thermostat training, but also the start of every class that we do, and you've seen some of the pictures. I spend over an hour going over pictures of bad installs, some that we've seen and we've taken those pictures or we have found online. And when guys see those pictures, they're like, okay, yeah, there's no way people are doing this. They don't want to believe it until they see it.
Right.
And when they see it, because they know they don't want to be part of my presentation. Now, if I come out of onto your job site and there's an install issue, I'm going to take pictures of it and you're going to be in the presentation. And then, no, we don't want to be in the presentation.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
We have a great group of guys, though. Our pro dealers, we have over 127 or 130 right now. And it's a nice group of guys, and they all work hard.
I had a service champion here today. He knows I'm from a high humid environment. And he said, hey, man, if I don't, like, I'm having a problem with the vertical air handler continuing to run the blower in a cooling mode, and it's raising the humidity levels in my home. So I go, you got to go to function code and thermal off in the cooling mode. When that big air handler, that big coil, I can bet if that fan's continuing to run in the cooling mode 24/7, that it's reintroducing, that damp coil is reintroducing humidity back into your space. So I said 100% of the jobs that I do or that I've been a part of in humid environments with a coil and an air handler, we thermal off.
We do the same thing in North Carolina.
Absolutely. Right. So he goes, okay, lesson learned. So he'll go back to his market and he'll teach that.
And that's one of those default on for valid reasons for certain climates. But when you go to the Southeast, we don't want that.
Yeah, or it could just any
Any
market
humid
where it
market.
could be extremely humid, right? And on the cooling side. And look, there's a valid reason for leaving, fans running because we're sensing the coil temperatures to drive set point instead of waiting for a wall thermostat to do something. Okay. That's standard.
And comfort. It
That-
has to do with comfort too.
Right.
So
And,
we don't-
Filtration.
Yep.
right. For filtration. So there's reasons to do it, but there's also reasons which is neat about the product and the technology is you have a capability to say, don't do that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
In certain areas, you don't want to do
We
it.
don't want to do it.
Certain areas, we do want to do it. Being up in New England, we leave them on. But being in the South, you hear that they always get shut off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And every house is different. I mean, do you have a whole home dehumidifier who is already taking care of your latent load, and therefore you can let the fan run
Yeah, because maybe
to circulate the air,
you have electronic
filter the
filtration.
air.
Right?
So there's times even in the South where guys intentionally want it to run. I mean, they're very efficient motors, so the power consumption is not really a major issue there. So you take the benefits of it if you're doing other things. But if it's the only source of dehumidification for the home, then we don't want it on it.
I had an old presentation I did years ago, and I, of course, lost that email and that presentation. But it was taking a ductless wall mount, 12,000 BTU, I think it was, and I took the fan motor usage because the fan was running 24/7, right, in cooling mode. And I took the fan motor usage times the kW rate times the blah 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 blah. It came out to it was going to cost me like $1.27 to run this fan motor 24/7, 7 days. Right. And then I did the same math for that 60-watt light bulb we got running in the ice maker on the refrigerator and go, well, look, this is costing you $8 a month. This costs. So that was one of the best things I ever did. And they're like, okay, I get it. Doesn't use a lot of electricity.
That you used that presentation at one of my meetings.
I did.
It was in one of the PowerPoints.
I did.
You put that whole thing up there to show somebody it doesn't cost a lot to run that motor. I
Right.
remember that presentation.
Quit crying.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, my electric bill's gonna be oh no, that's pennies. And then you did that thing, and yep, I remember
It
that.
was powerful, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I've have sat on a ladder in a lady's house in the Villages in Florida, and her complaint was that it's freezing in her house and she can't control. And she was in the room with me, sitting in her little chair with her little knitting needles, and I sat there on the ladder and talked to her for 2 hours, guys. 2 hours. And I finally asked her, are you comfortable? And she says, it's never felt this good in this room. And I said, great. So I'm glad you're happy. And I got up and I got off the ladder and went in the main part of the house where her daughter and husband lived. And she said, did you fix it? I go, yes. She goes, what'd you do? I said, I raised the set point.
You dry it out, it feels cold.
I said, I raised the set point. She goes, you did what? I said, I raised it from 72 to 75. So you can't leave it at 75. It's going to get hot. And I go, leave it at 75. Yeah. See what happens. So it's just one of those things where you learn a little bit about the technology. We all play with it. We deal with it. And then we get an opportunity to do something fun like that. So I'm sure you all have your own stories as well, but that's just one of my life stories. Yes, technology that I love. So what else about the Service Champion program can we talk about?
It's changed a lot. It's definitely got better.
We've got new leadership.
Gotten a lot better with the forum, online forum.
Communication.
It's a big deal.
Getting the pro dealers in to get them to get trained. More people seem to want to get on board and come for the training. when we have our meetings to our office to do our training. So we get the pro dealers in, and it's because of the training you're giving us here, the tools to get the training done correctly for them. So we do see a change, and we're happy about it.
Very happy about it.
Well, we're certainly glad that's a positive for sure. And I know there's a lot of money and resources being spent to
Yeah, I mean, it's
to
not
do
cheap to
this.
put one of these things on.
No,
You
it's
wanna
not.
you definitely want to get all the information you can out. And like I said previous, this has been one of the best deep dives into stuff.
Yeah, we're at day one,
Yeah,
right?
this is day one. We got 2
Yeah,
more
we
days to
got 2
go.
more days to do this. So
And you guys said, it, I mean, training is so important. And listen, I remember being a contractor, and it's funny getting on the other side of the fence. Golly, when it's installed right, the dependability just goes through the roof. And we've got our labs throughout the country. 5 are launching 6 this year, but having partners like you guys that offer the same training courses that they would get if they come to an LG facility, they can go to um, partner academies like with you guys and get the same training. It's just huge. The more information that they get, and if you're a contractor listening to this and you're not one of them that's willing to stop and take a day to train and to get your employees trained. I mean, sometimes we see the owner or the manager come in, but he won't send his guys in. I challenge these guys to stop and take a minute and, what do they say, sharpen the saw to get better, because these callbacks are killing your business. But if you can get your guys trained, yes, it costs you a day of productivity, but how much are you going to save on the back end? How much better are you going to be? What's your reputation in the community going to be when your installs work every single time, instead of every other time you have to go back and fix something? And it's guys like Bryan and Dave here that are really helping push that into the industry. And I appreciate you guys. I think it's a big deal.
That's the first question that I ask when I get a tech call. I'll say, all right, don't get mad, but tell me about the install. It's what is this? What is that? And I make them go through and look at that install, whether or not their installers did the job or they're going behind another contractor. It's the first question I ask. And if there's an install issue that they see over the phone, okay, fix that first and then call me. And because can't fix a problem if there's a known install issue.
The install is getting more and more critical. I mean, this isn't the days of 30 years ago with R22 and you could braze it in with no nitrogen and call it a day and run. I mean, you do any of that today and it's going to destroy the systems. I mean, it's more important now than it was 20, 30 years ago.
tolerance for a mistake is
Yeah,
much less.
for sure. I mean, you braze an LG system in with no nitrogen, you might as well just call it a day and go get a new one, because you've destroyed that expansion valve almost right out of the gate.
Yep,
No doubt.
got little flakes in it.
Yeah, yeah. So, guys, we've taken a little bit of your time. We've had a good time. Is there anything that you want to
No, just
say before we go? Just pieces of wisdom. I know you got lots of it.
I can't think of anything out of those.
just want to thank you guys for supporting us and
Yeah.
Yes, thank y'all very much.
helping us along this journey. And it's been a good journey my 7 years. So
Yeah,
I want to thank you.
well, thank you guys for being here. I mean, it's a pleasure to work with you guys. I consider both of you friends. I mean, Dave and I, we've known each other really, really well over the years, and
Yep.
get to do some stuff together. I'm not as close to you geographically, but it's fun. I love working with people that I enjoy too. But guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking over your time. Thanks for coming to the whole event, but thanks for your time on the podcast here. Terry, anything before we close out?
No, again, another thank you for me, but appreciate what you do. Thank you. So from the LG Procast, till next time.
See ya.
See you.
Thank you.